I haven't done a lot of things correctly in the last 7 years or so. I'm very ready to turn that around, and if I can't be a father to my children, then I can at least be an example that they can look at and say that I did the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
This is a tragic situation, but it's not because Mr. Carlson is sitting here. It's what these two children went through. And someone with any kind of a law enforcement background knows how dangerous and destructive methamphetamine is. And the idea that that would be used in a home with young children when you know how contaminating it is and how poisonous it is. The sentencing statement filed by Mr. Carlson denies that he ever used methamphetamine around the children and tries to place the blame solely on Ms. Bowers. However, in any condition, it's a father's job to protect their children. And you certainly failed in that, Mr. Carlson. These cases are frustrating for the court because we are limited by what the prosecution brings before us and what the legislature gives us as sentencing authority. Despite this being a Class C felony, I cannot sentence you outside the range of 6 to 12 months, with the exception of if I were to grant you first-time offender waiver. The only merit to a first-time offender waiver would be community custody, because I'm not convinced that you are going to follow through unless someone's watching you, because when you were out and you weren't being watched, by your own admission, you were not doing the right things. However, if I were to give you a first-time offender waiver, the standard range would be 0 to 90 days, and it's not commensurate with the crime. So based on the limitations before me, I'm going to do the most that I can. I'm going to oppose the 12 months, the crime victims assessment, the DNA collection fee. You are not to possess or consume controlled substances, including marijuana or THC, without a valid prescription. You are to obtain a chemical dependency evaluation within 45 days of your release. You are to follow up with any treatment recommended and provide proof to the court within 6 months of release. You are not to have under your possession control any firearms. You are not to have any unsupervised contact with anyone under the age of 18, with the exception of your biological children. Whatever is decided in the dependency court, it will be appropriate. That's being handled by another case. I don't know how you dig yourself out of this hole, Mr. Carlson, but you've earned every day. With earned early release, my guess is that he will be eligible for release sometime in August. Mr. Walker, does that sound about right?
My records indicate he was booked on December 6, 2021, so I would assume that early August would be accurate.
So I want to set a review hearing for September. So Monday, September 12th at 9 a.m. Mr. Carlson, you'll need to perhaps check in with court administration. We may be back to in-person court by then, but either in person or by Zoom, whatever the court's protocol is at that time. I want to review your chemical dependency evaluation, because if you don't get that, there is simply no hope that you're not going to appear before me again. Mr. Walker, do you have a judgment and sentence?
I do, Your Honor. I need one point clarified. The court said no contact with children under the age of 18 except his own children as ordered by the family court, I believe.
No unsupervised contact.
Right, I'm sorry, no unsupervised contact. There is another child, younger than the two at issue here, with another woman that I don't think is the matter of any sort of family court case, as far as I know. Mr. Carlson would know better than I with his... So she's an 11-year-old daughter from his marriage. So given that that's not before the family court,
is there a parenting plan in that case? Mr. Carlson, do you have a parenting plan with your older daughter?
I do, yes, in the divorce.
All right, then he may have contact as allowed by the parenting plan, and I assume the mother will bring that to court if it needs to be.
Very well, I'll prepare a judgment sentence.
Anything further, Mr. Festi?
No, Your Honor. I appreciate your careful consideration of this important matter.
All right, thank you. You may hand up the judgment and sentence when it's complete.